let's move on to the trade. We're hoping January in general is trade frenzy month, but here's one from the Cardinals and the Rays. Top 100 pitching prospect in the sport, Matthew Liberatore, the key piece from the Rays going over to the Cardinals. You can see there's picks involved. There's a prospect, Edgardo Rodriguez, 19 years old catcher going to St. Louis, but big two moving on the other end. Jose Martinez, that's an outfield DH bat for Tampa Bay, and it seems like he's been screaming American League for years. And then Randy Arozarena, we've seen just a flash of him last year in the major leagues, but had a breakout season in the minor leagues. So this is interesting to break down. The Rays moving a first-round pick from a couple years ago, Mark. It looks like both sides are trying to fill needs here.
Well, look, I mean, when you look at all the clubs in baseball, Tampa to me is one of those where I pay real close attention to the moves they make, just because you know, they've got a way to find guys that they really like and target specifically, especially with the bats. If you look at the last couple of years, they've brought some guys in there and they leave and they've got career year numbers, right? Travis d'Arnaud is an obvious one from this year. So, I mean, a couple more. So when you look at them targeting these bats, right, like, you know, Ivy Garcia, like these are good players, I mean, already, but like they seem to play up when they go to Tampa. And so I'm curious, you know, every time they bring a bat in, like, okay, what do they see in this guy? Very intriguing to me.
Yeah, what do they know? Because, hey, this was no joke. They gave up a big pitching prospect in Matthew Liberatore. I mean, if he emerges and becomes a big deal for St. Louis, you're going to look back and be like, wait, the Rays gave up a big prospect like that? Because they've done well in trades.
First of all, what they know is that Jose Martinez has nearly 1,000 OPS against left-handed pitching last season. Like, this dude's an absolute beast. And we've seen it at times. It's just, the question is, he's a defensive liability, but if you're Tampa, you're like, hey, man, I'll go ahead and DH him. You fit him in some sort of platoon, pick advantageous matchups for him, especially if there's like reverse right-left splits, and you let him go run out there and absolutely kill it. You get him in the prime of his career. So you're talking about being able to acquire a guy that's going to help you immediately. Now, then the question becomes, you know, on the other end is, you know, what's St. Louis doing? And they pick up a couple dudes, I mean, one for sure, that we think has the potential to be a star down the road. And they're replenishing their minor league system and get a guy that can help them out. And they have 6 years of service time of him coming up.
St. Louis has done a really nice job for years of developing their minor league prospects, too, because they've been competitive for years, Mike, and then every year another guy pops up for them. Some guys even break out, like a Jack Flaherty, but Liberatore's in there, gives them more depth. But then some people are wondering, does that give them more depth in the minor league system to make a trade for Nolan Arenado?
I mean, it can. I think both organizations made a move based on kind of the status of their players at each position. I think the Cardinals, you know, even publicly have said they wanted to move a couple pieces because they want to open up opportunities for outfield guys. So I think that kind of made Jose Martinez expendable, let's say, to a certain degree. And because of his defense, I think he just does fit for an American League team. Now, Tampa, they have a ton of left-handed hitters. I think they need that big, powerful right-handed bat. So it kind of fits there. And the Rays, in certain words, they're kind of in win-now mode. They really are. You know, I mean, they've shown the last 2 years that they can compete with the beasts of the East, and they can scare some people in the postseason. So you put up, I mean, you got to give something to get something, obviously, but you put up that bat with the other young guys, left-handed hitters, that pen, there are Glasnow, Snell, Charlie Morton. I mean, that's pretty formidable. So I kind of like the moves on both sides. Sure, 3 years down the road, if Liberatore turns into, you know, a Glavine type guy where he's going to give you 10, 12 years, yeah, you might have lost, but for what you need right now, I kind of like it for both teams.
They still have 7 of the top 100 prospects in the sport, Tampa Bay. And you're right. Isn't this their window right now? Like this season, hey, this is a team that's won more games the past few years than the previous year. Isn't this the window for the Rays to say, hey, maybe we can sneak into a World Series and do this? Which
is, when you look at the division, right, how impressive is that you're saying that about the Tampa Bay Rays when there's some formidable teams on their doorstep as their neighbors, having to duke it out for the same goals. So, but yeah, I totally agree. I think for Tampa Bay, this is an opportunity, and I don't think they've shied away from it, and that's why they're one of the teams that I pay extra close attention to when they make a move. They know what they're doing. They've established that. You know, I think it doesn't take like an advanced degree in baseball to know that like it's rare to trade a pitching prospect like that. So when a team does it, tells me they've got confidence, tells me they've got a plan, tells me that these guys were targeted for a reason, and I look forward to finding that out as the year goes along, exactly what they saw in these dudes.